But on the 18th of December 2021, 17 days after his 28th birthday, Drakeo the Ruler was stabbed to death by a backstage mob in his hometown just as he was about to take center stage. Rap journalist Jeff Weiss watched it happen. He was backstage with Drakeo's team when the whole scene unraveled. And here's how things really went down that ended the career of one of the most talented up-and-coming rappers. Drakeo was always an enigmatic character involved in several gang-related controversies over the years. He was a fighter and survivor of a grim childhood, a lifetime of brutal obstacles and intense challenges that could break about any man, but fought them all and almost made it to the other side. But it was all cut short that day. On the cold evening of December 18th, the 160-acre grounds of the Exposition Park in South Central was ready to host a one-day festival titled Once Upon a Time in LA. This was billed to be one of the most expensive concerts ever in the city, featuring different artists from the Isley Brothers to Snoop Dogg, Ice Cube, YG, and none other than Drakeo the Ruler himself. It had been a little over a year since the South Central rapper walked free from the courthouse in Compton, having beaten some serious first-degree charges that carried a possible life sentence. He was incarcerated for nearly 3 years and never wavered from his stance about his wrongful persecution. This event was scheduled to be Drakeo's second official performance in his hometown since being released, featuring a $50,000 payday and a chance to show out for his adoring fans in his city. Drakeo arrived at the concert in his $400,000 Rolls-Royce Dawn, accompanied by an entourage of 6 men and 1 security guard, which is unusually small. He was allocated 2 parking passes, so he had to cut his entourage short. Around 8:30 p.m., while Drakeo and his team were having fun and making jokes, an unidentified person shouts, "F the stink team, F Drakeo," and that's where it all went spiraling. Drakeo and his brother Ralphie charged towards the challengers without hesitation. The op was about 6 guys wearing ski masks, and a brawl began. It would have probably turned into a if Drakeo and his friends hadn't been stripped of their weapons earlier. Punches ensued. There were hundreds of police officers at the event, yet they were nowhere to be found while the fight went on. The whole scuffle ended quickly, even without intervention. Drakeo and his team turned around and walked towards the stage. The fight appeared to be over. Out of nowhere, 6 guys turned into a whole army of about 40 to 50 dressed in red and wearing ski masks. They were heard hollering, "Whoop" and "Sue whoop," making it obvious they were gang members. Chaos ensued, and at that moment, Drake and his buddies realized that this was a carefully planned and strategic attack. It was about 10 minutes or more after the initial scuffle had happened, yet security and the police were nowhere to be found. Drakeo and his friends were swarmed in the sea of bodies while they attempted to retreat. At that very brief moment, Drakeo was separated from his team. One of the attackers in a black ski mask holding a knife approached the rapper, after which...
This is a developing story for us. Rapper Drakeo the Ruler was stabbed to death at a concert in Exposition Park.
It was called off because of a horrific act of violence. Rapper Drakeo the Ruler fatally stabbed behind the main stage area as a fight broke out around 8:30 p.m.
Drakeo had been hit in the neck, blood gushing furiously all over his face. Seconds later, cops and paramedics arrived at the scene, and he was rushed to the hospital, where he was later confirmed dead at midnight. There were serious lapses in judgment from the organizers, especially with security, according to fans who attended the event. Drakeo's brother Ralphie and Plug confirmed this in an interview on Vlad TV.
I mean, I don't really want to touch too much, but other than security, they were supposed to do their job, you know what I'm saying? We just got paid to come, and we didn't give a f about no.
Drakeo's death left more than a few questions. How did he get into a beef so hot that as many as 50 gang members wanted to see the end of him? What could he have done that made them hate him so badly that he had to be at a concert in his hometown? In order to really understand that, we have to know a little bit about Drakeo's dark past. Darrell Wayne Caldwell was born on the 1st of December, 1993 in South Central LA, a week after Snoop Dogg released Doggy Style, and 6 days before Ice Cube dropped Lethal Injection. He and his brother Devontae Caldwell, aka Ralphie the Plug, a professional rapper, were raised by their mother, Darylene Corniel, a woman who worked as a preschool teacher. He really never knew his father. He wasn't in the picture. He was raised in the 100th section of South Central, a pretty rough neighborhood.
What part of LA are you from?
I'm from South Central LA. The hundreds. The hundreds.
He grew up just a few blocks away from where the legendary rapper Ice Cube was raised. The neighborhood had an unemployment rate of 23.6%, the highest in the county in 2009 and in 2014. The neighborhood boasted its highest homicide rate too. In fact, there's a grim corridor along South Vermont that was named Death Valley. Nothing was simple while growing up for Draco. By the age of 12, he was arrested for stealing $1 from a tip jar in Pasadena. For this, he was shipped out to a correctional facility they called the camp. But this camp didn't seem to have the desired effect on Draco. By the age of 15, Draco was for the first time while he was still a freshman at Washington High. And that's when the school decided they'd had enough and pulled the plug on him attending the school. After he was expelled, he became a permanent fixture of the street. He kept floating in between these correctional facilities as he frequently involved himself in various crimes, from burglary to possession. Police was a constant for him as he grew up. In one of his mixtapes, he rapped, "All my life, I've been running from Newton," a reference to the notorious police stations in South LA.
I spent my life running from Newton.
But apart from his problem with authorities, Draco and his brother Ralphie always had an interest in entertainment. They formed a dance crew known as Too Greedy. The crew members also became popular for house robberies, mostly targeting Asian households. After some time, the Too Greedy team evolved, and they became known as the Stink Team. This was around the same time Draco had gone deep into rapping. He saw it as an escape from the streets. By early 2011, Draco started using YouTube as a platform to showcase his rap skills. He dropped several freestyles over other rappers' beats. The level of consistency he put into his freestyles led up to his breakout single, Mr. Get Dough, in 2015. The song got a lot of people to pay attention to Draco's immense talent, and one of those people was DJ Mustard, whose remix and cosign were all Draco needed to become a sensation. The Draco-Mustard union was short-lived. The pair would fall out after Draco insisted on having his total creative and financial independence. He refused to sign with the producer's label. It was also during this period of his meteoric rise that Draco started having issues with gangs and the feds. Rapping about street life in LA means you have to have gang membership, but Draco adamantly refused to join either the Bloods or the Crips. By the time the remix I Am Mr. Mosley was out, his non-affiliation was starting to become a problem. Many of Draco's friends while growing up were members of the neighborhood Crips, longtime rivals of the Inglewood gangs. One of the biggest rules in gangbanging is that you have to choose a side. There is no in between, and that's how Draco was sucked into a multi-generational war by virtue of association. Sometimes it seemed his genius was evenly matched with his stubborn pride. His inability to overlook petty beefs caused him more trouble than he needed. During the summer and fall of 2016, several blood factions declared war on Draco and his Stink Team. Their cars were up, there were different robbery attempts, even his brother's house was riddled with bullets. While Draco always maintained that the Stink Team was a group of rappers, the LAPD categorized the Stink Team as a gang. Prosecutors claimed defiantly that the Stink Team was a group of home invaders with up to 30 members because many of them are affiliated with gangs like the Crips, the Rolling 40s, and the Rolling 100s. Unfortunately for Draco and his team, they got into serious trouble with the feds not long after. On the 10th of December 2016, Draco and several members of his Stink Team went for a naughty or nice pajama party in Carson. AB, one of the Stink Team members, joined them at the venue. They were readying to go in when Too Shitty informed Draco of the presence of the Inglewood family Bloods at the party. Many members of the Stink Team were affiliated with the Crips, direct rivals of the IFBs. Upon hearing this information, Draco ordered the Stink Team to leave the party immediately. While they were just about gone from the party, another IFB member, Davion Gregory, aka Red Bull, walked past their convoy. Immediately, Kells and AB spotted him. They lit him up. Red Bull later succumbed to his injuries at midnight. The Stink Team jumped back in their vehicles and drove back to Draco's crib, which was only 15 minutes away from the venue. The incident occurred around 11:30 p.m., and the crew was unaware that Red Bull had passed until the next morning. Draco's celebrity status and the presence of his brand new Mercedes GLE SUV at the scene made him a prime target for law enforcement. After the incident, Draco returned to making music, dropping hit after hit and making accompanying visuals for them. What the rapper did not know was that the feds had him firmly on their radar, and they were paying close attention to his moves, including his music videos. It was the video of the song breaker that gave the feds their first win. It helped them identify Draco's apartment, but that wasn't all. The rapper also dropped the visuals for Impatient Freestyle, one of his most viewed music videos on YouTube. The most important character in the Impatient visuals that caused him the biggest trouble was the Mercedes GLE. The SUV would turn out to be his Achilles heel. The cops explained that the car matched the description given to them by eyewitnesses as one of the cars involved in Red Bull's passing. Draco's life took a massive turn, and he didn't see it coming. Draco found himself embroiled in one of the most extraordinary cases to involve a rapper. On the 2nd of January 2017, Draco and his Stink team, along with several of his friends and family, were celebrating the new year at his crib. Their tables were filled with drinks and arms were lying around. They were having a good time until everything changed in an instant. The cops raided his apartment, arresting Draco, members of his Stink team, his mother, and his sister. Draco was charged with 6 counts of unlawful possession of arms by a felon. But what the cops were really after was the murder weapon used in taking out Red Bull. Unfortunately for them, none of the arms found in the raid matched the description of the one used in the incident. At this point, all the cops had were bullets, shell casings, and surveillance footage, none of which were enough to make a case, but that would change. During the next 60 days, the cops made it a mission to indict almost every member of the Stink team. They even indicted some for felony graffiti, for spray painting a wall in a music video. They all faced massive sentencing enhancements due to the prosecutor's insistence that the rap crew amounted to a gang under California law. While Draco and the members of his Stink team were in jail, the feds adopted a controversial tactic to get the confession they wanted. Just before they formally charged the Stink team, they planted an informant with Too Shitty, an OG gang member who was wearing a wire. Unknowingly, Too Shitty spilled the beans, telling the informant that AB was the one who took out Red Bull that night at the party. After getting that information from Too Shitty, they did the same thing to AB. Knowing that he was a member of the Rolling 40s, they planted an OG 40s member in the same cell with him, wearing a wire. AB got too comfortable and sang like a bird. He pretty much nailed his own coffin, going as far as admitting that he hit Red Bull at least twice with a .38 caliber. He said he used the .38 caliber because he didn't want to leave casings behind. He still went further to reveal that Kells was the one who used the .40 caliber. AB never mentioned Draco in his confession, and that means legally Draco should have been let go, as the feds didn't have a case against him. But unfortunately for him, the police disagreed, and it only got worse from there. Despite AB's admission of being responsible for Red Bull's passing, Draco was still remanded in jail for 10 whole months. He was eventually released in November 2017. After his release, Draco went back to making music, releasing arguably the best project of his career yet. He titled it Cold Devil. This mixtape showed the world that he was the real deal. It cemented his legacy in LA rap. Drakeo the Ruler's career kept soaring, reaching new heights until it all came crashing down again. In March 2018, Draco was arrested, this time on a murder charge. The feds had their foot on his neck, and they weren't easing up. In an interview with DJ Vlad, Draco said he was charged with first degree, 5 counts of attempted degree, and conspiracy to commit one.
5 attempted.
5 attempted murders.
And 2 gun charges.
Okay.
The feds also tried to pin gang affiliations on Draco, building their case around his beef with RJ, another rapper who was a member of the Athens Park. The prosecutors claimed Draco had attended the pajama party with the intent to take out RJ. When RJ didn't show up, 2 members of Draco's entourage contended with taking out Red Bull instead. In that case, Draco had created a dangerous environment and supplied the arms, which made him culpable for anything that occurred. They even went as far as claiming that his lyrics on Flex Freestyle, where he said, "I got RJ tied up in the back," were indications that he wanted to take RJ out.
The jag and you could disregard the yelling RJ tied up in the back.
The whole case was starting to feel like a comic book. There was no evidence that RJ ever planned on attending the party. His name wasn't even on the flyer. In recurrent interviews, RJ dismissed the prosecution's theories. He insisted the pajama party didn't even cross his radar.
Hold up.
Nah, his manager for me though. All his managers for me, man. That's the thing about it is, it's like, you know what I'm saying. It's all camaraderie, man. We better, you know what I'm saying. Free 03.
How do you feel about the cops saying that Draco was trying to line you up?
I believe that, you know, cops gonna do what a cop gotta do. They got jobs too, but you know, I wasn't supposed to be at that show. I wasn't supposed to be at that show, and nobody.
The show that they're saying that he was
nobody
sending someone you at or whatever, yeah.
Nobody called me. Nobody called me to be there. You feel me? Nobody. So for one, like you gotta go through people to get to me. You know what You know, I go through people to get to me anyway, so not anybody just gonna call me anyway. But that's just my statement on that, though. I think I got a lot of love out here. You know?
With all of this information coming to light, the feds didn't have a case against Drakeo, but it didn't keep authorities from slamming him in solitary for months, depriving him of sunlight. Books were confiscated and his phone privileges were consistently revoked. His mother lost her job at LAUSD after the cops sent her employer paperwork claiming she was part of a gang investigation. The jury eventually acquitted Drakeo of this charge and all the attempted charges in July 2019, but it didn't end there. Jackie Lacey quickly brought in a new prosecutor, reputed to be aggressive and merciless. Together, they redoubled the effort to send Drakeo upstate. Drakeo was kept in jail for almost another year despite beating the charges until he accepted a plea deal in which he pled guilty to from a vehicle, a crime Drakeo vehemently refuted. After his release on November 4, 2020, Drakeo returned to doing what he did best, making music. His comeback single was out within days. A full mixtape was released within a month. Interviews and features from Rolling Stone and Complex followed. In the 400 days he was free, Drakeo was living the dream. He dropped a collaboration with Drake himself. Drake even made him the face of an OVO lookbook. He also released 5 excellent original albums that were doing very well. He owned all his masters and publishing like he always wanted. He was earning close to $400K a month without a label. All he ever dreamed was happening. While his career kept growing, the beef with the IFB became even deadlier. Drakeo was never one to back down. He had survived so much for too long, flourishing despite all the adversities he'd been through. His inability to overlook things was a flaw in his character. He continued to diss the IFB in his songs, consistently using lines like, "He's not coming back and that's that," referencing the death of Red Bull. The beef with the Inglewood Bloods became worse after he dropped the song Ingleweird in August. The single was one of the best rap disses of 2021. In the song, he threw a lot of shots with lines like, "I'll turn the suburbs of Inglewood to a gym factory. Know a lot of dudes told in Inglewood, y'all condoning snitches." With most of the lyrics in Ingleweird directed towards IFB, the beef had reached a breaking point. There was no coming back from that, and it seemed like a matter of time before something definitive happened. And it did. Fans are divided over who was responsible for Drakeo's death, but irrespective of whoever it was, 2 facts can't be denied. Drakeo made a big impact on LA's rap music scene, and he would probably still be alive if he had steered clear of gang beefs and put more focus on his craft. But what do y'all think? Was he falsely persecuted? Why was he targeted so much? Did he do too much when it came to rap beefs? Leave your comments below and let's discuss. If you like what you saw, like and click on the subscribe button and have your notifications turned on for more content like this. We'll see you in the next video.